Hi dreamers and make-believers. In today's video I am doing my February wrap-up. As usual, it's a little bit late because of course I ended up reading part of my TBR of February in March. Yes, that is what I'm trying to say, yes. So I read, as hoped, 3 books in the month of March. So I don't have them because I'm actually moving house. So the next video I take will be in my new apartment, although it'll probably be very bare because I won't have anything in it just yet. But I am going to go to IKEA at the weekend and I'm going to get some stuff. So I'm going to hopefully finally have those fancy bookshelf thingies. Ooh, but probably not in the next video, but soon I'm going to get one of those fancy bookshelf thingies and it's going to be very, very exciting. But anyways, so on to today. I don't have the books that I read in the month of February because I packed them away in boxes because I'm moving in 2 days. So, because I don't have the books, I will be superimposing their beautiful images over here at some point during the video, so you know what I'm talking about. So the first book that I read in the month of the month of February, was Golden Sun by Pierce Brown. That book, guys, I have no words. But I actually shot a video not long after I finished, took a picture not long after I finished reading it of all the feels that I kind of went through whilst reading that book. And here it is. So you see in the first one, we have complete and utter excitement about reading the second in the Red Rising trilogy, which I was so looking forward to reading. Yay, happy, happy, happy. And then as you see in the second one, it's not so happy. In the second one, we have actual tears because things happen that I don't expect to happen. And I'm just like, what's going on? And it's not good. And I'm going to cry. And then in the third one, you kind of see that I'm kind of like, seriously, Pierce? Seriously? Is this how you want to play it? Is this how you want to play it, sucker? And that's when the anger comes out. And then, you know, the fourth one, I'm kind of just like mind boggled and blown and screwed and all over the place because nothing makes sense anymore and I have no idea where anything is going and it just is not right. So if you have not read Red Rising, then you need to get onto it because it is insane, it is epic, and Golden Sun just blows that epic insaneness out of the water and becomes even more epic and even more insane, and I don't even know what to do with my life anymore. And now I have Morning Sun, or Morning Star? Golden Sun? Morning Star, I have it, which is the third one in the trilogy, but I'm just afraid. I'm afraid to read it. I'm afraid to take it out of the box that I packed it in and read it. So I'm not reading it this month. I might read it next month if I can be brave enough to get through it because I just don't know what's going to happen. So, needless to say that I gave that beauty 5 big fat stars. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Woo! Now, the second book I read, I have mixed feelings about. I gave it a 4 stars. I think the story is very, very good. But there was a thing with the writing that I didn't like. And now a lot of people say it's either a writing style that you love or that you hate. I wouldn't say that I loved it at all. I wouldn't say that I hated it, but I would say that I'm more on the negative side of it than the positive side of it. But I think it was a very good story, and I think that it's going to be a pretty awesome series. But anyways, let me just tell you what that book is. That book is Shatter Me. Ooh, ooh. Ooh, ooh. So, for those of you who haven't read Shatter Me, it is the story of a girl, and the way it starts is really, really awesome. It starts when she's in a mental asylum because she's crazy, or so they would have her think. So anyway, so it's about a girl called Shatter Me, and people cannot touch her because when people touch her, or when she touches people, they die. So it's not great. It's a power, but a power that she's not very happy to have, and so she's locked up in this mental asylum, and basically a series of events happens which leads to her coming out of this mental asylum and being hunted by a government, or not hunted, but like wanted by government people to use as kind of like a weapon sort of thing. And it's basically her story of how she gets out of the asylum, and also of how what she does after she gets out of the asylum, and what happens with the government people that like want to use her. So it's a very, very interesting story, and it kind of has like an X-Men-y vibe, I would say. But yeah, so the writing style now, I get that it's like a character's voice. I don't know if it is the character's voice or if it is the author's voice, Tahira Mafi, but it's a lot, it's overkill. Like I say, some people would love it, but it wasn't my cup of tea. So there is this one passage where she is, what is she doing? There's this one passage, she's like, she's reading, or she says she likes to read, and the passage is literally a page long, just to say that she likes to read. That whole page just says she likes to read. And then there was another chapter which really actually made me laugh. The first sentence, I can't remember what it was, but it was something like, I'm blood and the blood and the bleeding. I see blood and I'm bleeding, and there's blood and the blood and the bleeding. Like, she says blood and bleeding like 4 times in the first sentence. And it's really funny because by that point I'm just like, oh my gosh, this is just so typical. But you know what? I have a clip. I have a clip of one of my favorite TV shows to show you what it felt like sometimes whilst reading this book.
I must say, you know, this apartment, there are no words.
Oh, thank God.
It's a haven. The 3rd floor paradise, a modern day Eden in the midst of the...
I know, gotcha. Oh, yeah.
Is something wrong?
Wrong? Really? You know the word wrong? Everything isn't perfect, everything isn't magical, everything isn't aglow with the light of a million fairies. They were just brake lights, Parker.
So, anyways, so like I say, I gave it a 4 stars because, to be fair, I did enjoy the story, and I do think that the story has mad potential and it's going really like awesome places, but just the writing style. So I'm not sure. I might check out the second book in the series just out of curiosity for the story, and also maybe her writing style will change, like maybe the character's voice will change, but I don't see how the character's voice will change. But that just, it was very distracting for me sometimes, and I found my mind like drifting off because it was just like such a long-winded sentence to say something so simple. So I'll see, but I do recommend it to those that like a lot of metaphors and those that like interesting fantasy stories of love and intrigue and government and things. And like, you know, when I say it like that, it does actually remind me of my own book, because I have love and intrigue and power and, you know, government thingies in my own book. So it does remind me of my own book, but just the style, the voice of the character was not my cup of tea. But I do still recommend it, and I still give it a 4 stars. And honestly, if the writing style had been more my style of writing, like the style of writing that I enjoy reading, like Cassandra Clare and stuff, then I definitely would have given it a 5 stars. So yes, so Shatter Me by Tahira Mafi. And the third and final book that I read in the month of February that spilled over into March was Falling Kingdoms by Morgan Rhodes. Now, the thing with this one is another kind of mixy feelings, not so much. It's another one that I gave 4 stars. I did genuinely enjoy it, but again, it was the writing, but for me, it was not like, it wasn't too much or metaphorical or something like that. The writing style in this one, I felt some scenes were a bit rushed, and I didn't have chance to connect to the characters or to the scene or to the environment. Like there was love, which was great. Again, no spoilers. I'm just going to stop there. But basically, some scenes felt too rushed and not fleshed out enough to actually be truly connected to either of the characters. But again, a really, really interesting story. So for those of you who don't know, Falling Kingdoms is book 1 in the Fallen Kingdom saga. I believe that's what it's called. And it follows the lives of, say 3 different kingdoms. So there's a kingdom called Palgia, there's a kingdom called Oranos, and there's a kingdom called Limeros. I struggle with the names. And there's kings in each one. Well, no, there's kings in 2, and there's a chief in Palgia. Palgia is the kingdom between the 2, and it's like the poorer kingdom where there's no king and there's no food, and like all they can do is produce wine. And a bunch of series of events happen that leads to a conflict between the 3 kingdoms, and basically an ultimate war. And what happens there, you have to read it to find out. So it's very interesting. And there's, you know, there's princesses and not queen. Well, yeah, princesses and queens, and it's very interesting. And there's obviously powers, and it's kind of like Elementia. Like there's the source of power that can control fire, air, earth, and all that stuff. But you've got to find it. They're called the kindred. They're these stones that can help you do it. But also there's a sorceress that is said to possess these powers, but they've got to find the sorceress, basically to bring the land, especially Pelgia, back to like its riches, because right now Oronus is the only one that actually has riches, and then Limeros is like, yeah, and then there's Pelgia, which is not great. So the story itself is very captivating. The end is very intriguing and a very good climax, and I feel like it's going to go very far. I'm going to follow the Fallen Kingdom saga, and I highly, highly recommend it to fantasy lovers and kingdoms and wars and that sort of stuff. It has been compared to Game of Thrones. Now, I absolutely love Game of Thrones, so I wouldn't put it there, but I do see the connection, and there's kingdoms, and there's so many shocking moments, and like I say, like I feel like the series is going to be epic. So I highly, highly recommend it. So it's pretty much a good reading month. 1 mega 5 for Golden Sun, and 2 4 stars with Shatter Me and Falling Kingdoms. So yeah, so not a bad reading month, and now I'm currently working on Scarlet. I'm going to try and finish my books for March in March so I can do my March wrap up at the end of this month. And that is all for now. I'll see you next time in my new house. Bye!